In the endless expanse of the deep ocean, sunlight fades to darkness a few hundred meters down. Pressure mounts, temperatures plunge, and a primordial silence fills the abyss. Humans have explored only a tiny fraction of these depths, roughly 5%, leaving the rest a vast alien frontier. It's often said we know more about the surface of Mars than our own ocean floor. Little wonder that for centuries, sailors and scientists alike have whispered about something immense and unseen lurking below, a creature of nightmarish scale and mystery kept hidden by the black waters until now. Today we venture into the darkness to investigate a legend that refuses to die, an enormous deep-sea entity known in hushed circles as the Murmur. From ancient myths to modern sonar readings, the Murmur has left scattered clues of its existence. For as long as humans have sailed the oceans, tales of colossal sea creatures have surfaced in our lore. The Murmur itself may be a modern name, but descriptions of a gargantuan, terrifying beast match records from many ancient civilizations. In Mesopotamian myth, the Babylonian chaos dragon Tiamat was said to rule the primordial seas, a serpentine monster defeated only by the god Marduk. Ancient Greek mariners feared Kitos, a giant sea beast sent by Poseidon. And the Greeks weren't alone. Arab merchants crossing the Indian Ocean spoke of the Bahamut, an impossibly large fish said to carry the world on its back. In the Old Testament, the leviathan is depicted as a raging ocean dragon, the monster of the sea, a creature so mighty that only divine power could tame it. Such legends suggest that across cultures, people sense something in the deep, something more than just fish and whales. Medieval and Renaissance accounts continue the thread. Norse sagas warn of the Hafgufa, a sea colossus so large it could be mistaken for an island. It would lure fishermen by appearing as rocky shoals, only to swallow boats whole when they drew near. In a 13th century Norse text, one mariner writes, "There is a monstrous fish that belches as it rises, and all nearby creatures flee its maw." Scholars later speculated this was no mere fable, but possibly an encounter with a real creature. European medieval maps were often adorned with grotesque sea monsters at the map's edges, cautioning of perils in unexplored waters. The 16th century Swedish cartographer Olaus Magnus filled his famous Carta Marina with such monsters. One report from his map describes two colossal sea monsters, one with dreadful teeth, the other with horrible horns and a burning gaze. The circumference of each eye is 16 to 20 feet. Exaggeration perhaps, or the best description terrified sailors could manage of an unfathomable sight. Either way, the message was clear. There be giants in these waters. An early 19th century illustration of a colossal octopus attacking a ship. Drawn by French naturalist, this depiction, based on sailors' reports of an encounter off the coast of Angola, was long dismissed as fantasy. Ironically, Montfort's belief in such krakens was vindicated decades later when the giant squid was proven to exist. Even older chronicles add to the lore. Scholars in the Lost Library of Alexandria purportedly cataloged seafarers' tales of a leviathan of the depths, an entity said to cause tremors felt on shore when it stirred. In East Asian folklore too, we find hints. An apocryphal Chinese text speaks of a shui long, the water dragon, whose silent heartbeat stirs typhoons. Could these disparate legends all be echoes of the same reality? Early glimpses of the Murmur? Ancient peoples, lacking scientific terms, may have described it as a god, a demon, or a world serpent. Over millennia, such accounts blurred into myth. The Great Norway Serpent described by Olaus Magnus in 1555, all might be cultural memories of encounters with a truly titanic deep-sea creature. By the 1700s and 1800s, however, as exploration and science advanced, these legends were relegated to folklore. Skeptics argued there was no room for monsters in the Age of Enlightenment. But even as academia turned its back on sea serpents, the ocean itself would offer up perplexing clues that the old stories had truth to them. With the dawn of modern oceanography in the 19th and 20th centuries, scientists began systematically studying the depths, and strange reports soon challenged their skepticism. Marine biologists discovered giant squid and colossal squid in the 1800s, vindicating centuries of sea monster tales. But could something even larger be out there? Officially, science acknowledges that we've only scratched the surface of ocean life. In fact, 95% of the ocean remains unexplored and unseen by human eyes. New species, sometimes huge ones, are found on almost every deep-sea expedition. This reality has fueled a range of theories about the Murmur's nature, from the soberly scientific to the wildly conspiratorial. Many oceanographers posit that if the Murmur exists, it could be an undiscovered species of gigantic cephalopod, or fish. They point to real creatures like the Greenland shark, which can reach 7+ meters and live for centuries, or the megamouth shark, unknown until 1976, as proof that large animals can still evade detection. The Murmur, scientists hypothesize, might literally emit fear as a hunting mechanism. Indeed, modern hydrophone recordings have captured unexplained ultra-low frequency sounds in the ocean that defy known species profiles. The most famous of these is the so-called bloop. In 1997, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, detected an ultra-low, extremely powerful underwater sound in the Pacific, later nicknamed bloop. It rises rapidly in frequency over 1 minute, and was detected by hydrophones over 5,000 kilometers apart. NOAA's lead acoustician, Dr. Christopher Fox, noted that while the audio profile of bloop resembled that of a living creature, it was several times louder than the loudest known animal, the blue whale. This tantalizing detail led some biologists to wonder if bloop was the call of a titanic sea creature, perhaps akin to our Murmur. NOAA eventually attributed bloop to icequakes, the cracking of large Antarctic icebergs. Officially, it was a natural geologic sound, but not everyone was convinced. Why, skeptics ask, had something as prosaic as ice not been definitively identified earlier? And why did that particular sound occur only in 1997, never before or clearly since? The timing and unique signatures spurred conspiracy theories that the icequake explanation was a cover story to prevent public alarm. Some even suggested that NOAA, perhaps at the behest of the US Navy, knew more, that they had picked up other, even clearer signals of a massive organism in the depths and kept them classified. One fringe theory claims that the Murmur is not a natural creature at all, but an experiment gone wrong, a bioengineered being, or even an extraterrestrial USO, unidentified submerged object, hiding in our oceans. Proponents point to the Cold War era, when both the US and Soviet navies installed extensive underwater listening networks. In the 1960s and 70s, the Soviets reported hearing mysterious quacker sounds, frog-like croaks that followed their submarines and evaded sonar lock. These quackers exhibited intelligent behavior, circling subs, reacting to attempts at contact, and moving at speeds up to 200 kilometers per hour underwater, far beyond any known submersible. Soviet crews were baffled, and some in the higher command quietly suspected they were encountering something alive and highly advanced in the deep. Western analysts at the time dismissed quackers as likely Soviet imaginations, or perhaps schools of odd whales. But to this day, quacker recordings remain unexplained, and declassified Soviet documents detail dozens of such incidents before the phenomenon mysteriously stopped in the 1980s. Were these quackers juvenile murmurs, or drones chasing the same prey? The lack of answers only feeds the conspiracies. Another theory focuses on government cover-ups. Whistleblowers have hinted that certain naval encounters have been stricken from official records. In a purportedly leaked Navy memo from 1973, marked Top Secret, the Navy has never acknowledged any Deep Siren project, but some insist it existed, a joint operation with NOAA to quietly track and study the Murmur throughout the late 20th century. Conspiracy theorists claim that pieces of evidence from these efforts occasionally slip out. A snippet of strange sonar data here, a classified sonar image there. They argue that officials prefer to chalk up anomalies to known causes, like whales, submarines, or ice, rather than admit an unknown apex predator roams the abyss. To these theorists, the Murmur is the greatest kept secret of the sea, perhaps studied in clandestine programs much like the search for extraterrestrial life. Only this alien resides in our own oceans. Fantastic as these ideas sound, they often draw on real unsolved cases that make even skeptics pause. For example, the loss of the USS Scorpion, a nuclear submarine that vanished in 1968, has invited speculation. While the official inquiry blamed a mechanical failure, some point to unpublicized sonar transcripts from the scorpion's final moments, which allegedly contain powerful biosonic clicks right before its destruction. Could an encounter with a deep-sea behemoth have caused the sub's demise? Mainstream experts doubt it, but the story refuses to die on conspiracy forums. Between scientific curiosity and conspiracy paranoia lies a fascinating middle ground. Cryptozoology, the study of hidden or unknown animals. Cryptozoologists note that many mythical creatures have eventually been validated by science. The giant squid, gorillas, coelacanth fish, etc. They propose that the Murmur is simply an as-yet unclassified megafauna. Some conjecture it could be a giant eel-like creature living in deep trenches, citing occasional reports of long, serpentine shapes seen in submersible footage, usually dismissed as pipelines or optical illusions. Others suspect it has some form of camouflage or bioluminescence that keeps it hidden, perhaps spending most of its life in the deep scattering layer, the zone where millions of fish migrate up and down daily, masking larger presences on sonar. A particularly eerie theory suggests the Murmur might even mimic whale songs or other marine noises to blend in. If it can imitate the calls of a blue whale, humans would have a hard time telling the difference on audio recordings, meaning we might have heard the Murmur many times and not realized it. Indeed, some conspiracy-minded researchers re-examining the NOAA audio archives claim to have found unexplained inflections in certain whale song recordings, almost as if a much larger animal was subtly harmonizing in the background. These interpretations remain contentious at best. 1918, North Atlantic. The German U-boat. UB-85 surrenders to a British patrol without resistance. Later, an astonishing tale emerges. The sub's captain allegedly claims they had surfaced at night due to a malfunction when a strange beast attacked the U-boat. The crew describes a large creature with gnashing teeth and large eyes that clambered onto the bow, causing such damage that the U-boat could not submerge. While this story was never officially verified, it became naval legend. Recent discoveries of UB-85's wreck have revived the tale. Even CNN noted the old sea monster legend when the sub was found. Was it Allied propaganda or a genuine brush with the Murmur? We may never know, but the crew's terrified testimony, if true, fits the pattern. Something huge struck from the deep without warning. June 7, 2014. The submersible Orpheus descends into the deepest known part of the ocean, the Challenger Deep. The mission: to explore marine life at depths never before reached by humankind. What they found was beyond what anyone imagined. A blip appears at the edge of the sonar range, large and moving slowly. Alvarez frowns. We have something bearing 220, about 500 meters out. Could be a large shoal of fish? Patel mutters that, at this depth, that's unlikely. The blip fades, then reappears closer. The sub's external cameras pan across the abyss. Nothing but particles drifting. Then, something massive glides past just at the edge of the light, so fast and so indistinct that the crew isn't sure it was real. The viewers catch a glimpse, perhaps an enormous tail or fin. It's gone in a flash. Inside the sub, a red warning light flickers. The narrator describes the crew's rising fear as instruments start to malfunction. That's it for today. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring this deep sea monster, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new mystery. Until next time, keep searching, keep questioning, and stay curious. Because the universe is vast, ocean is deep, and the truth is out there, waiting to be found.